We start off in Nigeria, which wants to diversify its economy and reduce dependence on oil. With a population of 170 million people and its swelling food import bill, agriculture officials say there is no time to lose as the country could face a food crisis within a decade. In Kaduna State in northern Nigeria, we met Ibrahim Mustafa and his sons working out in the fields. Mustafa grows maize and was expecting a good harvest season because of favorable weather in the year. The farmer is one of the many in the region who are taking advantage of a farm project where private investment is helping subsistence farmers make a profit for themselves with help from the companies that are backing them.
Truly, since I joined the project, I've made significant progress. When I was working on my own farm, I was only able to get like 20 to 23 bags after harvest. But now that I've joined the Great Farmer project, I make above 48 bags per harvest.
In Zimbabwe, farmers were taking advantage of an increased tobacco output in the country since President Robert Mugabe's controversial seizure of white-owned farms sent production tumbling to as low as 48,000 tons in the year 2008. Black farmers are now driving the recovery in this sector, which has jumped to 170,000 tons in the year 2013. Funding from China and adoption of foreign currency have fueled growth. Charles Mufudze employs about 50 workers on his 800-hectare farm. He says that although business is promising, farmers face challenges like poor infrastructure, limited access to skilled labor, and lack of credit.
Tobacco presented an opportunity for many black farmers. Okay, one, basically to earn the US dollar. That's the first and the major reason why I got into tobacco. And then secondly, the opportunity that was presented because of the void that was created after the former big commercial farmers, okay, left.
In Senegal, we saw a unique garden project nestled between buildings in Senegal's bustling capital, Dakar. The micro-garden project is run by an association of women called Dakle Bouk Salat, which means thinking alike in the local Wolof language. It is one of the many in the city that produces tomatoes, lettuce, onions and strawberries among other organic products for sale. Started by the government in 1999, the project wants to promote organic horticulture on yards, rooftops and vacant spaces in order to help poor families improve their food supply and nutrition, as well as generate an income. Bineta Koulibaly is a project trainer and coordinator with the Dakle Bouk Salat Association.
We had to train women in the fight against poverty for a long time. Many were idle because of poverty. We have introduced the micro gardens with little space on the terrace or somewhere that allows one to cultivate.
In Sudan, the sugar sector proved promising for the country's drive to generate more revenue. In Kenana in central Sudan, the natural sweetener is cultivated on hundreds of hectares of land. Sugar is the most important food ingredient in a country where it's normal to put 3 spoons of sugar in a small glass of tea or orange juice. Sugar prices are so sensitive here that they can spark protests. Kenana wants to more than double its output to 1 million tons by the year 2015. Its affiliated White Nile Sugar Company eyes an annual production of 250,000 tons from next year. Sudan is one of the biggest African sugar producers after Egypt and South Africa. It hopes to become a global player by the year 2020, competing with world leaders such as Brazil. But Mohamed Al-Jak, an economics professor at the University of Khartoum, says the 2020 target of 10 million metric tons of output was unrealistic.
The success of this project depends on the capabilities that will be made available for the sugar factories during the specific period. But it's definitely a grand ambition.
On the other side of the continent, farmers in Togo were taking advantage of an increase in cotton demand to market their crop. Experts say the industry is slowly picking up again in Africa, mainly due to some countries applying new farming methods and an increased number of farmers turning to cotton, especially in West Africa. Cotton farmers are being urged to play a more competitive role on the world market by boosting output and producing better quality of cotton.
This year, cotton production is slightly better and it still has a long way to go. At the moment, cotton farmers are happy with the production.
And at the global level, UN experts also came up with a rather unusual solution to the hunger problem globally, urging people to start consuming edible insects, which are said to be nutritious. A report released in the year revealed that breeding and conserving insects can play an important role in boosting food security and nutrition. Until recently, insects were considered an inexhaustible resource. However, human population growth has led to overharvesting of certain species. At a busy street in Yaoundé in Cameroon, we meet Stephen Abada buying larvae of the palm weevil beetle. Depending on the season, consumers can find grasshoppers, termites, or even ants on sale here.
Insects are very nutritious. They nourish the body. They're not too fatty, but have lots of good ingredients. If you eat these all the time, you will rarely get sick.
According to the World Bank, Africa's agricultural sector is set to become a $1 trillion industry by the year 2030 if governments and the private sector radically rethink policies and support for farmers. Wakaba, CCTV.